localtel.com or call 509.
And due to circumstances beyond my control, we're back. It is Tuesday, 12th day of September, 2023. This is Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. I'm Dan Kuntz, your host. Good to see you. Fairly cloudy, 61 degrees. Sun's taking the day off today. Not going to see a great deal of it. Weak system coming in, coming out. Ain't going to last very long. Not going to really make any kind of dramatic weather for us. Actually, going to be kind of quiet. Temperatures slightly above normal. Sunshine back Wednesday. Very warm for September when we get to the weekend. In fact, when we get to some of the weather details, we're going to talk about El Nino. We could have a strong El Nino year this year. What does that mean? I'll tell you in just a few minutes. Outside of that, the weather's going to be high and dry. A little windy today, nothing we can't handle. A lot of news, busy news day yesterday. Sports, Mariners had the bases loaded and nobody out in the bottom of the ninth inning against the Los Angeles Angels at T-Mobile Park, and we'll let you know what happened. If you don't know already, we'll let you know what happened, plus local sports. And in the back half of the program, we're going to play the interview that Jefferson did with our good friend Doug Jones, the executive director of Rivercom, whose offices are right across the street from us. If you don't know by now, you can now text 911 to Rivercom if calling is not an option. Now, if calling is an option, that's what they prefer you to do. They can get a lot more information that way. But there are instances where you simply cannot talk to Rivercom, and there are any number of circumstances that may arise there, but you can text 911 to Rivercom. And how that works and why, with Doug Jones, Jefferson Robbins, in the back half of the program. Lots going on, busy day, let's go. We got a lot to do. At 2 minutes after the hour, we begin our tour, and this shot looks fairly similar to yesterday's shot. Maybe a little more filtered sunshine. Very mild again yesterday. Our normal high is 79, and we hit 82 yesterday. And an overnight low of 65. Our normal overnight low was 54. It's cooler now. It's 61 degrees. But again, going to be fairly cloudy for the day today. Maybe a light sprinkle later on today. Don't think that's going to happen. Let's see what Rock Island looks like from the Rock Island camera. It looks something like that. Good morning. Good time to go out and play golf. Not going to be too hot. You won't have to worry about the sunshine and all that good stuff. And you just don't want to put on some sunscreen. But if you like to golf and you like to walk, I highly recommend the Rock Island Golf Course. Now, the only complaint I have about it, and it's a minor complaint, I know, if you choose to walk, is that the last about 3.5 holes of Rock Island, you're climbing up a hill. The front 9 is flat. The back 9 is flat until you get to about 15, and then you got to start climbing a little bit. And by that time, your legs get a little jello-y. I've noticed that, but it's a great walking course. Rock Island Golf Course right below you there. Plus, we say hello to Malaga. To McNeil Canyon we go, and Lake Chelan, good morning there, just a few clouds. Clouds don't seem nearly as prevalent today as they were yesterday, but on the other hand, they're still going to be hanging around for a good part of the day. And finally up to the Smalls camera, right along the Columbia River on your way up to Lake Chelan. Look at the sun reflecting off the Columbia River, which isn't really much of a river anymore. It's just a series of reservoirs. The Columbia River, of course, before the dams came in, was fast, very fast, one of the fastest rivers out there. Now it's just a series of lakes, essentially. Not a lot of flow to the Columbia much anymore. The dams will do that. Did I mention it's going to be a little windy this afternoon? Not a big wheel. Now, these are gusts, not sustained winds. This is gusts, and we're going to see a few gusts. Ellensburg, which is always windy down there. So this afternoon into the early evening hours, depending on where you live, you're going to be dealing with some windy conditions. Waterville Plateau, of course, always a bit on the breezy side there. And here in the Wenatchee Valley, as far as sustained winds, today about 10 to 15 miles an hour, but the occasional gust, a little stronger than that, will pop in and out as this weak system slides through. It's going to give us the clouds. Still going to be very mild today, but it's going to be a little breezy, especially the later into the day we go. The windier it will be. The winds will be topping off, about 10 or 11 o'clock tonight. Still a little breezy on Wednesday, but the windiest part of this forecast period is going to be between about 7 o'clock to about, say 10 o'clock tonight. Just a heads up on that. Now, El Nino, what is that? Well, they say we have a pretty good chance of getting one. We have not had, there are three kinds of El Ninos. First of all, it's a weather anomaly. It's not supposed to happen at all. When we do get an El Nino, it could be a weak El Nino, a moderate El Nino, or a strong El Nino. And right now, the Climate Prediction Center says we have a better than 60% chance right now of a strong El Nino autumn. That's what the pattern is when we have a strong El Nino. And what does that mean? Very dry and very, very warm. The jet streams get way out of proportion. The last time we had a strong El Nino year was 2015. In October and November of 2015, the last year we had a strong El Nino. On Halloween, it was 71 degrees. We set record highs off and on throughout the month of October, and we had temperatures in the 70s, afternoon high temperatures in the 70s, well into November. It was very dry and very, very warm in the autumn of 2015, specifically October and November of 2015, 8 years ago. And they say we have a better than 60% chance of this October and November dealing with a strong El Nino, which means very mild and very dry. We shall see, but the last time they predicted a strong El Nino, we got one, and they're predicting one for this year. It's been 8 years, so maybe we're overdue. Just a heads up. Start preparing for you gardeners out there, perhaps for a very mild and very dry autumn. If it's anything like 2015, that's exactly what we're going to have. From the National Weather Service, it looks something like this. Right around 80 degrees, which is just a couple of degrees above normal, but again, not a lot of sunshine. Today, mostly cloudy and some wind in the late afternoon, early evening hours, 57 for the overnight low. Light wind on Wednesday, it'll be gone altogether by Wednesday afternoon. Beautiful day tomorrow with a high of 81. It's still summertime, as you can see, from 81 to 84 to the 90s. We go. Have a chance to set a new record high on Saturday. Lots of sunshine. High pressure will be large and in charge. Slightly cooler, but not much by Monday. So outside of today, where Mother Nature is going to give us some clouds, get ready for some sunny and warm weather. It is still summertime. The solstice isn't until September 23rd in the wee small hours of the morning. That's the weather. It's 7 minutes after the hour. Grab your cup of coffee. Come right back. We'll do the news. You're watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley on the NCW Life channel.
Most of us are in touch with the internet in one way or another all day long. A fast, secure connection matters. It keeps us entertained, informed, and in touch. Local cares about your connection. We know strong, reliable internet with your choice of speed makes life better. If you need fast, reliable internet, or maybe an upgrade, or you just have questions, connect with us by visiting localtel.com or call 509-888-8888 today.
Experience memories that will last forever on a Sun Chaser pontoon boat from Bob File Boats and Motors. If you're looking to get out fishing with your buddies or just enjoying time on the water with friends, a Sun Chaser pontoon boat is a great choice. Owning a Sun Chaser is more than just an incredible feeling of freedom and exhilaration. It's about taking that indulgence to the next level. See the full line of Sun Chaser pontoon boats at Bob File Boats and Motors on Sunset Highway in East Wenatchee or online at bobfile.com.
Are you dealing with a pest or weed issue and you just don't know what to do?
We use the best pest control methods approved for areas with kids and pets.
Whether it's rats, mice, ants, or spiders,
or something else altogether. We provide the coaching and solutions you're looking for.
And you can know that your dollars are supporting a local, family-owned and operated business.
Allow us to help you get back to living healthy and pest-free. Harvest Valley Pest Control.
Pybus Public Market is on the move to make parking, dining, shopping, and events an even better experience for our community. Check out the progress that has already been made towards the revitalization. The Westside Project is well on its way, but we need your help to get over the finish line. All donations are greatly appreciated and can be made online at our website or in person at the business office. We want to thank those who have already partnered with us. You are helping make the place we love a better place for our community to meet.
Filtered sunshine, 61 degrees. Not a lot of sunshine today. Highs will be in the lower 80s, a little breezy. Sun returns big time on Wednesday, and then we heat up for a very warm September weekend. Heading our way, it's 10 minutes after the hour. That rural Leavenworth man who became involved in the standoff with the police SWAT team back in March says he's going to appeal the 45-month prison sentence he was assigned to last week. A Chelan County jury convicted 48-year-old Abel Wilkes on Thursday of second-degree assault with a firearm for pointing a rifle at a neighbor who urged him to stop target shooting late at night and early in the morning. Now, the neighbor's report of the incident led to an 18-hour standoff in which Wilkes refused to come out of his trailer home on the Chumstick Highway. Judge Robert Jordan sentenced Wilkes on Friday. His prison term includes a 3-year mandatory enhancement because he used a firearm. Wilkes argues his constitutional rights were violated by both the police and the courts. His attorney filed a notice of appeal immediately after his sentencing. Governor Jay Inslee is going to be in town on Thursday. There'll be a ribbon-cutting ceremony for the Wenatchee Valley Re-Entry Center. The Washington State Department of Corrections says this center is the first opened in a few decades and the first one ever in the Wenatchee Valley. The idea of a re-entry center is to help incarcerated folks focus on their transition out of prison confinement and back into society. While they're in the re-entry center, they learn about, well, social and living skills, finding and retaining a job, getting an education, treatment for drugs, etc. Inslee was in Wenatchee earlier this year, toured the Center for Drug and Alcohol Treatment. Those folks are seeking funding for a new building at the time he visited those folks. The expanded We Are Here exhibit at the Greater Leavenworth Museum was celebrated with a grand opening on Sunday. Free museum access was granted to anybody who wants to learn more about the history of the Wenatchee tribe, with new displays that teach museum guests how to pronounce words in their native dialect and digital mapping of ancestral lands. Outside the museum, 7 speakers who ranged from exhibit curators and advisors to artists and educators gathered at the Front Street Gazebo in Leavenworth to share about the importance of the exhibit.
The new exhibit is the voice of the Shimpisquosa, detailing in their own words their history and the connection to this valley. We sincerely hope we can look back at this day and mark it as the beginning of the Upper Wenatchee Valley's warm welcome home to the Shimpisquosa, to their ancestral hunting and fishing lands.
I think a lot of the ancestors would be really happy to see these younger ones picking up these pieces and moving forward. I think a lot of times in museums it's a capsule into history, but it's a different story now that the Indigenous people are coming to the forefront and being able to share their stories through an Indigenous lens and come together. And the only way to come together as a whole is through education and awareness. And it's different events like these, it's what's going to bring us all together to move forward, to create beautiful things for our future. Not only for you guys, but for us and our own families as well. And also making our presence back into these traditional territories.
My granddad, who was very firmly, driven by maintaining that practice of fishing here. And he used to say, if you don't do it, they'll think that we're no longer. If you don't do it, they'll think that you have no right. And we have every right. We have an unextinguished Aboriginal right to this territory. These are our fishing grounds. These are our hunting grounds. These are our berry picking, root digging grounds. And they meant everything to our people. As everyone here has expressed, we're still here. My mother, Mary Miller Marchand, she used to say, we're not a people of a romantic past, nor are we a people of an irrelevant present. We're still here.
State troopers are asking for your help. They're trying to locate a car that struck and seriously injured a woman in Ephrata in the early hours on Friday on Highway 282. That's near the Ephrata Airport. The 30-year-old pedestrian was walking on the east shoulder of the highway just south of the airport when an unknown vehicle struck her from behind. Washington State Patrol Detective Ben Borgman says the male driver stopped briefly at the scene. and got back in his car and continued eastbound towards Moses Lake. The collision left the victim with serious injuries. It occurred sometime between 2 and 3 a.m. last Friday morning. The vehicle is described only as a passenger car that probably has right front end damage. Anybody with information is asked to contact the Washington State Patrol. Douglas County is working with the nonprofit group Trend to improve outdoor recreation in Douglas County. Throughout this month, 3 community outreach events will be held around the county to hear input from residents on current and future recreation opportunities. Trend wants to hear how improvements can be made to outdoor recreation, including how to make it more accessible. We'll also have maps for people to draw on to identify areas for new infrastructure or maybe new trails. The first event is going to be held today, as a matter of fact, at the Waterville Library. The next event will be Wednesday the 20th, and then they're going to have an event at the Eastmont Parks Community Center, and then at the Bridgeport Elementary School on September 26th. All of the events begin at 5:30 and end at 7. Now finally, a mobile dog gym business has opened here in the Wenatchee Valley. Co-owners Travis and Logan Morley understand how important it is to get your dogs out and get them exercised, but not everybody has the time. So Dog Zoomies will bring an exercise van to your front door so Rover can get his steps in.
Hi, I'm Travis. I'm co-owner of Dog Zoomies with my wife Logan. So there was another business that I had seen videos of, similar concept in a different location, and realized we don't have that in our area. Slat mills came about, I purchased them online. There's multiple different variations of the slat mills, and we put them together ourselves and then installed them into the van. The slat mills are self-propelled by the dog, so they don't have a motor. They can stop and sit at any time, so they're completely driven by the dog. Pretty much every dog that gets on it is nervous initially. Our dogs are probably the worst out of all of the dogs that we've put on. Our dogs reacted like cats and clawed in. Most other dogs are pretty well rounded and take to pretty quick. Might take 1 or 2 sessions, but they love it once they get a hold of it. So we've been in business just about 3 weeks, so we're still relatively new. Everyone loves it. In our area we have 4 seasons, so when it's too cold, too hot, doesn't matter, we can make it work and get the exercise to the dogs that they need. We don't have a package necessarily yet or a membership or anything like that. We just go session by session. However, if you have multiple dogs, there's discounted rates for having multiple dogs at one time. As a way of giving back to our community and helping out, we have sets with the Humane Society to where we'll help run their dogs, and then in the process, recording videos, posting those on our Facebook, and hopefully helping those dogs find homes as well. Our promise to you is that we love your dogs just as much as ours, and since we come to you, it makes life a little easier, and they're in a safe, climate-controlled environment.
Beats walking a dog in January, I can tell you that much. That's the news at 18 minutes after the hour. We will have the news for you tonight at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and 10 o'clock. Grant Olson in the anchor chair also does the weather forecasting, and he does it better than I do. And Eric in the sports desk tonight at 5, 6, and 10. If that doesn't work for you, you can watch it online. We'll have it up and running on the World Wide Web right around 5 o'clock. So you can watch the news via our Facebook page, our homepage at ncwlife.com, or on our YouTube page. And if you think there's something out there we need to know about, tell us about it. That way we know about it. See how that works? Send us an email, news@ncwlife.com. They say baseball is a sport that is designed to break your heart. Mission accomplished, Mariners. Sports is next. You're watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley on the NCW Life channel.
Are you hungry enough to eat the end out of a rhinoceros? I know how you feel. Come on out to Blueberry Hills. You'll have a great time. We've got excellent food, a feet on the furniture kind of experience, and we won't hustle you out of your table. If you want a real farm experience, make the trek to Manson to Blueberry Hills, where you sit, you pick, you eat, and you visit. So come on out and see what all the fuss is about. Blueberry Hills in Manson. It's where the world is coming to.
Well, looks like our surgery patient is feeling better today.
Yep, I didn't need any oxy today. I thought I'd do a little surgery on the drain.
Huh. Do you need your pain pills anymore?
No.
Well, we should get them out of the house. There are places to drop them off.
Yeah, okay. Actually, I can do that right now.
And I will look at the drain.
Prevent opioid misuse. Find safe medication return options near you at med-project.org.
Friday, September 29th. Check out the Reckless Ones coming up from Los Angeles.
Minutes after the hour, the Mariners spoiled. Bases loaded, bottom of the ninth, nobody out. Couldn't pull it out. They went to extra innings, and the Angels knock off the Mariners last night at T-Mobile. The final was 8-5. The Angels themselves loaded the bases in the top of the ninth inning, but Seattle got out of that. Then Seattle loads the bases in the bottom of the ninth inning on 3 base hits in a row, and then, well, here you go.
It's into center field. Caballero had to wait a moment, and because of that, he is held at third. Hesitation as to whether or not that would be caught. 3 straight singles.
Now the bases are loaded for the Mariners.
This is a great situation. This is storybook with Kelnick back for the first time since July 19th.
Swing and a miss, strike 3.
Missed out by a lot, chased it.
1 out, the batter Dylan Moore has pretty good speed, so the Angels keep the infield in. Bouncing ball, fielded by Neto, throws to the plate, out at home.
What a play by
Neto. Throw to third, and back in there safely is Suarez.
But what a play by Neto. That was a tough little hop and a good throw to the plate. That's all you care about. You'd love to get a double play, but no, all it's about is that force out.
Now lefty-lefty for Loop against Canzone. And Canzone rolls one to first. Aaron Loop pitches out of it.
I got to deal with Brendan Drury.
Drury hooks one toward the left field corner. This ball is deep, and that ball is gone! Brandon Drury comes through again. A 2-run homer, and the Angels have the lead in the 10th.
He has been so clutch.
Bottom of the 10th inning, down by 2, 5-3. Julio Rodriguez, the hitter.
Out to center. This is cranked. It's way back. It is gone! Julio! A game-tying 10th inning home run. Number 30 this year. Another historic chapter for Julio Rodriguez.
The Angels have the go-ahead run on at third base with 1 out, and the batter will be Randall Grichuk.
Escobar runs. Grichuk lines a base hit to center. Kyron Paris scores the go-ahead run. Escobar ends up at third, and Randall Grichuk has given the Angels the lead again. It is 6-5 in the 11th.
And that'll bring up center fielder Brett Phillips. And the pitch to Phillips, turns the bunt, lays it down on the front of the plate. Here comes the run home, toss to the plate, the tag, and out at home is Escobar. Holy smokes, Gabe Spire races in, gets to it, flips it right to catcher Brian O'Keefe. Down with the tag to get Escobar. He cannot score, and that's the 2nd out of the inning. What a play by Gabe Spire.
Bouncer third, pass Suarez into left field. Grichuk around third. He's on his way to the plate. Phillips goes to third. The Angels get a gift run from a sure-handed third baseman. It's 7-5. It is a monster for the Angels to get that 2nd run home here in the 11th inning. Here's Shotwell with a base hit. Phillips scores. It is 8-5. Ground ball to short, charging on it is Neto. Throw to first in time, say goodnight to the Mariners. The Angels pull one off in extra innings.
The Mariners had a golden opportunity with the bases loaded and nobody out in the bottom of the 9th inning. They could not punch across a run.
After the game, manager Scott Service reminded everybody that this is not the first time this year that the Mariners blew a chance with the bases loaded and nobody out.
And certainly we had our opportunities there in the 9th. That's probably, looking back on the ball game, you get the 3 singles lead off the 9th, and it's happened to us a couple times this year. We just haven't been able to finish it off. So, once you get into extra innings, crazy stuff can happen. It's a crazy one. A lot of plays go one way or the other, and you're probably on the right side of it. But end of the day, we didn't get it done. You got to execute. In those big spots, when you have those at bats, and it didn't happen for us tonight. I say all that. Tough loss, no question about it. We got to wipe it clean. We can't do anything about it right now. So it's incredible, and he doesn't back off. I know he had some struggles early in the year to try to get it going, but when he got it going, he just doesn't quit. I asked him about midway through the game. I said, "You having fun?" He looked at me and he goes, "Yeah, I like to compete." I said, "I know you do." And he just smiled. And that's what we saw. He's a great competitor with unbelievable talent. It's fun to watch every night. A lot of plays you can look back at in this game. If this would have went that way, or if we'd have done this a little bit different or better, we probably win the game. That's what happens in these games. And it's going to continue to happen over the next 2.5 weeks. But one thing about this team, and I've said it often, it's very resilient, and we don't quit.
They got to be resilient. Julio Rodriguez, by the way, last night, 4 for 5 with his 30th home run of the season, and so we'll try again. We've lost 4 in a row. We'll see if we can get that off our docket. 6:40 on Root Sports Northwest. All right, to the American League West scoreboard from our friends at Les Schwab. Texas beat Toronto, so the American League West race has been shaken up, as has the wild card chase. Oakland 3 hit the Astros in Houston in a 4-0 win, so Houston still leads the division by a couple of games. Texas is now in second place because they beat the Blue Jays 10-4. Seattle is now in third place in the division, 2.5 games back of Houston. Texas also moves ahead of Seattle for third and the final spot in the wild card race. You're on the wrong side of that line. Mariners, Boston and New York are rained out at Fenway Park, so they'll have to make that up as a doubleheader today. And Tampa Bay continues their winning ways with a 7-4 win over the Twins. They lead the wild card chase by 9 games. Pete Carroll refers to the Mondays following the Seahawks game as Tell the Truth Mondays. He says you only have to look as far as the stat sheet to see that, well, everything was pretty ugly on Sunday.
Third down was just a disaster for us in both sides of the ball, and that's really was the story of the day, because we ran the ball all right on offense and ran the ball and stopped the run on defense well, and so when it came down to it, we had to get off the field, and we didn't do it. So that's it just spells the whole issue of what happened in the second half too. We didn't make first down. They moved the ball. We didn't make first down. They moved the ball again, and that was the game started to change right there. So I'm really disappointed that we didn't come back in the second half and play better. I thought we were in okay shape at the end of the first half for just getting started, and I wanted to build on that in third quarter, and we weren't able to get that done. So it's a very difficult day to take for the opener, and everybody's expectations, nobody's were higher than ours, but everybody's expectations dashed a bit to get this thing started.
How many times did we sack the Rams quarterback? None. How many times do we hit him? Twice. Pete Carroll says that stinks.
Disappointed that we didn't get more activity from the guys on the edge. We got to get where we cause the problems, and we have to create the problems with our calls as well. And we did a lot of different things in the rush, different types of pressures, but we need to do more probably to get it going. Particularly here's a really good quarterback coming up, very similar in style, very similar in system, and you got to make Jared Goff move also. So they're very. Very similar, and so we have to do a good job finding our ways. But mostly, it's just we'd love to see some more edge work. Where the guys get on the corners of guys and get in the backfield.
Seattle travels to Detroit Sunday morning, 10 a.m. to take on the Lions on Fox. All right, to the Les Schwab Prep volleyball scoreboard from last night. Omak took care of Tenasket 3-1, and Manson topped Chelan 3-1. On tap today, Waterville-Mansfield will visit Cascade Christian at 6. Ephrata will host Quincy in volleyball at 6:30. Cashmere is at Zilla. Pateras visits Aniat. Eastmont at Wenatchee, and Moses Lake hosts Eisenhower. In fact, it's Eastmont-Wenatchee week. Eric will be courtside for the Panthers and the Wildcats tonight at the Wenatchee High School gym. With the coaches pregame show at about 6:50. Match get going here at 7 on the NCAA Live channel. Then we'll have soccer, and then we got football. So it's a lot of Eastmont and Wenatchee. And on the prep girls soccer schedule today, Bridgeport will host Brewster, Cascade hosts Prosser, Ephrata's on the road at Grandview, Chelan visits Royal, Cashmere takes on Okanagan, and Moses Lake is at Eisenhower. And those are just some of the games that people are playing On this 12th day of September, 5 obscure holidays I could have chosen. I did not choose National Boss Employee Exchange Day. That's when you change places with your boss for a day. They couldn't pay me to do that, but I would make more money if they did. National Report Medicare Fraud Day. It's National Day of Encouragement. I looked, I could not find a National Day of Discouragement. Today is National Chocolate Milkshake Day, which sounds really good right now, but today is National Video Game Day today, which takes me back to 75, 76, when we got Pong at the Kuntz household. Yeah, Pong by Atari. And we would be entertained by hours by going doop, boop, boop. That was it. Satisfied us. The big game changer was in 1977 with Atari, when they came out with the very first system that didn't have the built-in game like Pong. Pong was just Pong, and that was it. In 77, Atari came out with a system that had the game cartridges. You put a cartridge in and you could play a game. And you could go out and buy the cartridges. That was a big game changer. Kept us entertained for hours. And then, of course, in 1985, Nintendo came out with their gaming system, and that upped it even further. And now we have these incredible games out there. The video game industry is a $70 billion a year industry. The average age of American gamers is 32. About 60% of American households have a video game system. You probably didn't know that. And the best-selling video game of all time? World of Warcraft, which I didn't know. World of Warcraft, #1 best-selling video game of all time. We'll be revisiting video games later on this week. It's 31 minutes after the hour. Today in history, September 12th, 1857, long time ago. The SS Central America was sailing just off the coast of North Carolina. It had 13 tons of gold and about 600 people on board, and they got caught in a hurricane. Well, when they were in the eye of the hurricane, a couple hundred people got off on the lifeboats, and then, of course, they were no longer in the eye of the hurricane. The boat went down. 426 people drowned. And also going to the bottom of the Atlantic, about 150 miles off the coast of North Carolina, 13 tons of gold. And this was in 1857, and there it sat. And then in 1988, a syndicate led by Tommy Thompson got a bunch of investors together and said, I think I can find the gold. And they gave him millions of dollars, and in 1988, Tommy Thompson found the gold. And here come the lawsuits. The original insurance companies, 39 insurance companies, filed lawsuits, said, hey, we paid off the claims in 1857, so the gold is ours. Tommy Thompson said finders keepers. This went on for a long time, like 8 years. In the meantime, all the gold that was found was put aside, and the judge finally ruled Tommy wins, finders keepers. Sorry, the insurance company. And then Tommy took off with the gold. And the syndicates couldn't find him anymore, so they sued. And they got whatever gold they could find, and they tucked that away. Then they looked all over for Tommy. They finally found Tommy. He had did an offshore account in the Cook Islands. They found Tommy. They dragged his rear end to trial. They found him guilty. He said, you got to pay your investors. He said, I ain't got no money. They won $22 million in damages. They didn't get anything. Greed, the hubris of man. But they found the gold. I don't know. I don't know what happened to the gold, actually. That was, the ship went down 166 years ago today. 64 years ago today, television history. We chased Lady Luck till we finally struck Bonanza with a gun and a rope and a hat full of hope. Bonanza debuts Saturday night, September 12th, 1959 on the NBC Television Broadcasting Network, the very first network television program to be filmed and broadcast in color. Didn't do too well. First 2 seasons, ratings were respectable, but it cost a lot of money to make it. It was shot on location, of course, and you had big guest stars, and color film was expensive, and Bonanza lost money its first 2 years, and after the first 2 seasons, NBC told its parent company, RCA, we're going to cancel Bonanza. It's just not popular enough, and RCA, who owned NBC, said, no, we want to sell color television sets, because that's the business we're in. So take Bonanza and put it at the best possible time slot you can. So they moved it from Saturday nights at 7:30 to Sunday night at 9. Bonanza shot to number 1, stayed at number 1, and by 1970, Bonanza became the first series in television history to finish in the top 5 Nielsen's for 9 consecutive years. It would become one of the most profitable shows in the history of NBC, and it came this close to getting canceled. Bonanza makes its debut on this date in 1959. Happy birthday to the Seahawks. September 12, 1976, the St. Louis Cardinals come to the Kingdome, and they beat the Seahawks in their very first regular season NFL game. The final was 30-24. Seahawks almost won their very first game. They didn't. They won 2 games their first year, which was 2 more than Tampa Bay. That was 47 years ago today. And finally, 29 years ago today, Frank Quarter got drunk in the middle of the night, stole a Cessna 150 from a local airfield, flew it around, avoided all of the radar in and around Washington, D.C. at Dulles International, at Reagan National, at Andrews Air Force Base. None of them saw him. And a very drunk Frank Quarter finally crashed the Cessna 150 into the south lawn of the White House, died on impact. And as you might imagine, people were going, how did they not either shoot this guy down or even know he was there? They had no idea he was even there until the plane crashed. The Clintons weren't home, by the way. 36 minutes after the hour, one heavenly birthday. Jesse Owens, born 110 years ago today. He was the grandson of a slave. Of course, in the 1936 Berlin Olympics, he won 4 gold medals, 4 of them. Comes back to the United States after the 1936 Berlin Olympics with 4 gold medals, international fame, and then it all went downhill. He was still a black man in America in the 1930s. He couldn't get a job. Now today, of course, he would be endorsements and he'd be a multimillionaire, but that wasn't the way it was in 1936. He couldn't find work anywhere. He worked at a dry cleaning business, worked as a janitor at a playground. He worked at a gas station attendant. He would make money by racing horses and people for money. He eventually had to file for bankruptcy. He was convicted of tax evasion. The U.S. Track and Field Association awards the Jesse Owens Award as the highest accolade anybody can get in track and field. Jesse Owens, born in the state 110 years ago today, died of cancer in 1980 at the age of 66. 38 minutes after the hour, going to take a break. Got an opinion from Mike Mad Dog McNaughty. And then Jefferson Robbins had a chance to sit down with Doug Jones, the executive director of Rivercom, to let you know that there are now multiple ways for you to get a hold of Rivercom, including this baby, and I don't mean calling, I mean texting. Doug and Jefferson when we come back. You're watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley on the NCW Live channel.
When Mike leaves town, it's a little scary. You never know who might be outside. But we feel safer inside knowing our home is being monitored by a local company. I can check our alarm from just about anywhere, so when we get home, I know it's safe.
Protect your family and save money with a local company. Switch your current security monitoring to Guardian Services from LocalTel. Call Guardian Security from LocalTel now or visit localtel.net to learn more.
It's the pickleball event of the year. Shake and Bake by the Lake at Wapato Point Resort in Manson, October 6th through 8th. Open to the public for all ages and skill levels. Register now until September 15th. Go to moretomanson.com and click on the events link to register. Or go to pickleballbrackets.com. Book a stay and see all the amazing amenities Wapato Point Resort has to offer. Walk to Manson restaurants, wineries, and more. It's the Wapato Point Resort Shake and Bake by the Lake Pickleball Tournament, October 6th through 8th in Manson.
Shoot, I think I left my keys in the kitchen. Can you grab them?
Yep.
find out?
What's this?
It's a locking bag. It keeps Grandma's medication safe.
But I could just take it.
Well, for one thing, it locks. And if it were gone, I know there's a problem.
Huh. Well played.
Help prevent opioid misuse before it starts. Visit getthefactsrx.com.
Hey, this is Mike Mad Dog McNally, and everybody is entitled to my opinion. Now, many times, somebody has said something to me, usually something critical, and I get defensive. I'm sure I'm the only one. Now, what I've tried to learn to do when this happens is to stop and think, why am I getting defensive? Is there some truth in what I'm hearing? Now, often this is the case, I got to admit. I get defensive because something about what I'm being told is accurate. And, you know, I think I should do this more often, reflect when I get defensive, when I'm criticized, and react that way. Maybe instead of defending myself, I should stop and think, you know, is there a chance for correction here and doing myself some self-improvement? Well, maybe there is. This is Mike Mad Dog McNally, and that's my opinion.
Let Merry Maids custom cleaning experts help you clean up your to-do list. Between work, kids, and pets, it's hard to find time to keep up. Let Merry Maids of Wenatchee help. Merry Maids cleaning experts can help keep your home or business fresh, neat, and exactly how you'd clean it, if only you had the time. Call now for a free estimate, 509-663-1710. Serving Chelan and Douglas counties, Merry Maids, let us help.
Caught in a conflict? Family? Workplace? Neighbor? Business? Housing disputes? Wenatchee Valley Dispute Resolution Center provides mediation services, a cost-effective and efficient way to provide a written resolution to disputes and issues. Plus, we offer mediation training and community education on conflict resolution and communication skills. Contact us to learn more.
This is Grace, and this is her world record-holding guinea pig with an iconic name, Abby.
She currently holds the Guinness World Record for the highest bar jump by a guinea pig. I ride horses and I jump, so I kind of thought it'd be interesting to teach my guinea pig to jump like my horse does.
One day she came out of her room and looked at us, and I said, "Did you get it?" And she said, "Yeah, we got it."
After we won our award, we came to Abby's to celebrate.
Jefferson Robbins with NCW Life. Rivercom is the agency that dispatches emergency aid to your location whenever you need it around Chelan and Douglas County. They're making some improvements, including a new innovation called Text to 911. We decided to catch up with Doug Jones, Executive Director of Rivercom, to talk about that new feature. Doug, thanks for being here today.
It's a pleasure. Thanks for having me, and thanks for visiting us in our facility here.
Can you explain a little bit for our viewers about Text to 911, what it allows callers to do now that they couldn't do before?
Sure. Well, of course, you could always dial 911, and 911 will get you in communication with our wonderful telecommunicators who will direct you to, or direct services to you as needed. What changes today is if you're in a situation where you can't call 911, you're now able to use your text on your phone through your carrier to get a hold of us. So basically, the circumstances where you might want to do that is if, for example, if you're hiking. A lot of times you're in remote areas where you don't have really good service and where it might be difficult to connect with a voice line. Sometimes the texting will work. So that's one scenario where it might work.
As another aspect, could it also be useful for domestic violence survivors, because oftentimes their communication with the outside world is limited by their abuser. Would the texting facility help with that?
Absolutely. Anytime you don't feel like you can safely make a call, a voice call, texting is not also an option. Great example, you're in a domestic situation, you don't want the abuser to know you're calling the police. You can make a text and do it rather covertly as opposed to a voice call, and that works well.
So if I text to 911 in Rivercom's service area, I'll be connected with a dispatcher. They're also responding to me by text. I can make requests or report a situation just by using the keyboard on my phone?
Exactly, and if you're in an emergency situation, they'll stay in contact with you via text until law enforcement or fire gets there, if that's what works. But yeah, definitely, they'll be with you throughout your encounter with them. So.
What kind of steps did Rivercom have to take to make text to 911 a reality? It's been coming in phases in other parts of the state. So what kind of coordination did you have to do to make it work here?
There's two primary coordinations. Number one was at the state level. When you call or when you text, your communication doesn't go directly here. It goes to a state network or a state cloud. We call it the ESI network. And then it's directed from there. So we had to align the state requirements with our individual phone carrier or phone company that deals with all of our 911 and our business line phone issues. So we had to align those two, and also you have GIS that comes into play. We have a very extensive and complex GIS system, so that when that call comes in, or that text in this circumstance, it's directed to the right location, which is here, and then it also plots. So it goes, all the information that comes from your phone is directed to us, and it also, in addition to allowing you to communicate with the telecommunicator or the dispatcher, we actually see where you're at as well.
So the location information is vital for people to be able to respond to your scene.
Exactly.
Wherever you're texting from.
Exactly. We will always ask where you are, your address or things like that, just to verify things like that. But if for whatever reason you aren't able to do that, we can get law enforcement or fire or EMS pretty close to your location based on that plotting.
Now, in the last year, at least 2 times I've managed to accidentally call 911 from my cell phone when it was in a back pocket or something like that. Right. Are there any risks associated with text to 911 where you just get a misdirected text and your people are tied up for a little while trying to figure out if this is a legitimate message or something else?
That's certainly a potential. We always look at, we always ask people to stay on the line if they accidentally make a 911 call, and the same with the text. If you accidentally make a text, make sure you respond if you get a text back from us saying, oh, that was a mistake. Not going to get in trouble. It happens to all of us. It happens to me. And so, the faster that we can remedy that and know that it's not an actual emergency, the faster we can get back to answering the real 911 calls. So, you don't get in trouble. You just stay on the line with us. Let us know it was a mistake, and we'll get through that.
Are there any special steps that someone texting to 911 has to take to make that connection, or do we just go 911? Text and go?
Exactly. Put 911 in the field where you typically put a contact or a phone number, and then it goes. And it really, again, it's pretty much statewide now. So wherever you are statewide, if you do that, as long as you have cell phone coverage, it will be directed to the dispatch center or that services your location. So.
To your knowledge, Doug, since this came online, I'm assuming it happened around midnight last night, have you received much in the way of 911 texts here at Rivercom?
We actually had it live a week ago when we were testing it, and we actually did have a text come in from a hiker who was in a remote areas like we talked about, and we were able to get help to that hiker. So it has worked already, even before we went live with it. When we had it on, basically we had it turned on for our testing and for our training for our telecommunicators. So that was a good live test, I guess you would say, that it worked, and it gave location and everything it was supposed to.
I guess that hiker was lucky about the circumstances. They might have gotten no answer at all otherwise.
Right, very fortunate.
Right. Doug, Rivercom is growing in other ways too, Doug. There's a growing pain experience you're having right now. Your board has been searching actively for a new place to locate your headquarters. I think you've kind of outgrown your space. Have you outgrown this building in terms of personnel or in terms of equipment that you need, or is it both?
Well, actually both. There are some power requirements that this building is deficient on, so we need more power to run our new technology, things like that, so we're limited on that. But definitely personnel-wise, we've grown as an organization, as the community's grown. We've added telecommunicators to our staff. with additional telecommunicators requires additional staff to support that. So you'll see if you walk around, a couple of our offices are doubled up, tripled up, things like that. And so we definitely need more space for the personnel to grow. And as you know, our population is growing, so our mission will continue to grow. So we're really looking for a long-term 20 to 30-year facility that we can grow into and meet the needs of the community.
There was some optimism earlier this year about the Confluence Technology Center, whether you could occupy the space formerly occupied by Yahoo, I think. And what happened with that? The building just turned out not to be suitable for your use.
Exactly. We've worked really well with the port, and they've been super great to work with as far as trying to find a solution for us. And that was a very promising possibility. But one of the requirements for a communication center similar to police departments, fire departments, is that you meet these national building codes. And what the code is for this type of facility is what they call a risk category 4, which does require a little bit more hardening to make sure that during a fire or flood or earthquake, your facility is going to be able to sustain that, and so that you can continue your emergency services. And that makes sense. So we did an analysis of that building. We hired a company to go out and do a structural analysis of that building, and it was determined that it didn't meet that standard. So a little bit disappointing. We talked about what it would take to retrofit that. And when you talk about digging up foundations and things like that, it really was not feasible to do that.
So it sounds like at this point Rivercom needs to find a new site and build fresh.
Exactly. So we are looking for land, basically. What that did, after we got that analysis back, I went and sat down with city officials and said, what do you know about what's available, potentially existing structures that we would meet that requirement? And basically, you have buildings like this that are occupied, the fire department, things like that. There's really no existing structure that we can see that will meet our needs. So we do have to find land and build a structure, so build a facility. So we're pursuing those options.
And you mentioned that staff growth is one of the things that's driving this. For a while, Rivercom was having a hard time filling its numbers, getting people who could take those calls, work with the emergency agencies, but it sounds like your staffing level might have been improved since then.
It has. Over the last couple of years, even before my time, obviously, there's been a really push to hire quality telecommunicators. It's a great job. It's a great mission. We sell that out there through our website and things like that, and we get good people that apply. So currently, we are at full staffing, but however, we still have a lot of people that are training in the pipeline to be, let on their own to take the radio and do the job. So, although we're at full staffing, there's still some overtime issues because we're still in the training process for many of those. So,
if you find a new place to house your agency and you find more needs for people, do you see another hiring binge for Rivercom in the future?
Yeah, I think again I think we're 29 right now. We're authorized a few more, so I think definitely coming into the next year we're going to be doing some hiring, and we are advertising on our website for that, and we're going to job fairs, things like that. So yeah, there's definitely opportunity for telecommunicators to apply and to join our great team.
One of the things, and from working in emergency services for quite some time, is that sometimes there's just places in these counties where radio signals don't get to very easily. Sure. And Rivercom has had to deal with what have been called dead zones sometimes. What kind of steps have been made recently to try and up that coverage so that officers or responders out there, say in the Coulee country, can have a guarantee they'll get a signal?
Yeah, that's a good question because, when people think of Rivercom, they think of the telecommunicators, which do a great job, and they're a wonderful team of professionals. But we also have another big section of Rivercom is that we own 23 radio communication sites throughout Chelan and Douglas County to make sure that those radio signals get to the first responders in even those remote areas. So we have on mountaintops throughout the two-county region these radio sites that make sure that we can get the best radio coverage possible. Can we hit everywhere? No, because but there are some dead spots. But we are continually building out our network, trying to improve through technologies to expand that. I think one of the current projects we have going on will if we get it done this year, snow might affect that. But if we can get it done early next year, we'll reach up into Stehekin. So that's one of those areas where we really see a need for getting some good radio traffic up there to support our first responders and our law enforcement to go up into that area.
So Doug, you've been with emergency services for quite some time. You retired out of the Wenatchee Police Department as a captain. You moved to Confluence Health, where you were a security manager there.
Sure.
How does this Rivercom job measure up to you so far? I mean, does it have its own particular kinds of rewards or challenges?
You know, it was a really good fit for me, and you know, I work with a lot of people that I've worked for years, both when I was in police work and when I was with Confluence Health doing emergency management there, dealing with a lot of the first responders in the community, running drills and things like that. So, you know, coming here, it's a different hat, but the same friends I work with on a daily basis. So it was really nice to have this opportunity. And I'm just, since I've been here 2 months, I can't say enough about the team I work with and the telecommunicators here and the great job that they do for our community. You know, they have a great heart, and that's, you know, when I first got here, I interviewed everybody on a one-on-one, and bar none, they're all in it for the right reason. They want to be here for you, to support you when you call 911 and get you the services that you need, because it's their community. So that's what was really encouraging to see.
Badger Mountain Brewery is your cure for boredom. Jam Night Mondays. Trivia Wednesdays. Live Music Fridays. And Sunday Brunch. There's always something brewing at Badger Mountain, so come join the party.
My name is Anna Marie. I've lived at Prestige here for 6.5 years, and I love it. They just made you feel so welcome. I love my room. I get 3 meals a day, do as I darn well want to. I've loved it ever since I moved in.
Mom's a wonderful, wonderful lady. She deserved the very best, and I got it for her here at Prestige.
As the sun sets on another hot summer, let the experts at Blue Lagoon Pool and Spa winterize and close your pool. Closing your swimming pool is the most important service to get right. Letting the professionals from Blue Lagoon Pool and Spa close your pool will ensure that you won't cost yourself thousands of dollars in damage next year. Want to save a little money? Consider dropping the water level yourself and save. Don't wait. Blue Lagoon's pool closing schedule is filling up quickly. Call today.
All right, just about ready to wrap up a Tuesday edition of Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. The hell was that? Something flew by our Wenatchee Heights camera. Whew. Going to be a little windy this afternoon if you're just joining us. It's a weak system. It's going to come through and then it's going to leave, but while it's hanging around, it's going to cloud us up a little bit, and we're going to have some gusty winds this afternoon. As far as sustained winds, 15 to 20 miles an hour out of the northwest. That'll be the direction essentially, and then it switches just straight west to east. But the Waterville Plateau and a few other areas in our viewing locations will see the wind picking up a little bit. It's not going to be too intense, but just wanted to let you know that you're going to be in for a little bit of wind, especially early evening to about 10:30 tonight. But this is a very interesting little piece of info that the National Weather Service sent us about what could be a strong El Nino year this year. It is a weather anomaly. We've had 5 El Nino autumns in the last 41 years, but we haven't had one since 2015. This is what happens. This is a typical strong El Nino year, and the Climate Prediction Center says we have a good chance, a better than 60% chance for a strong El Nino autumn. And what does that mean? Very, very warm temperatures and dry conditions. The last time we had an El Nino in 2015, that was 8 years ago, it was 71 degrees on Halloween. We set record high temperatures in October and in November, It was very dry and very warm, and if this pattern persists, they say we could be in for an El Nino autumn. Wanted to let you know. For the more immediate forecast, cloudy and breezy today. High right around 80 degrees, 57 for the overnight low tonight. Sunshine on Wednesday, high of about 81. Wind will be dying down, by the way. No real wind at all Wednesday afternoon. Then here comes another heat wave to 84 to 91 to 93. Our normal high is 79. We're to be above normal right through the forecast period. In fact, just plain hot for this time of the year by the weekend. And that's it for us. Have a great Tuesday. We will see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Turns into this.
We hit the jackpot as we discover why everybody at this company is having a ball.
Plus,
what's it say?
Can dogs read?
Our eye-opening visit to the world's only university for canine studies.
Get it? Good girl. The astonishing ways they're learning to change the lives of people with disabilities.